think that our consciousness is our power. And I tell you, your consciousness is our weakness. Think about this.
Welcome to Konsider the Show, right?
The show, yes sir. You
The
get it wrong every time.
The show. So this is episode 7, and we have a guest today.
What? Oh, yeah.
We got a guest today. Actually, not a guest. Actually, this is a young brother who's going to actually be participating with us on a regular basis. So introduce yourself. Let them know who you are.
Hotel, my name is Nazir. Shoot me, that. I did that one.
Yes, sir. So we here just live. I am that I am. Some call me Haru.
Some call me John Parker.
And I'm not.
Indeed.
Some call him not.
Indeed. So today we're gonna go into lack of maturity, and I was just kind of pondering on that earlier. Me and a friend was kind of talking about some things, how people are they're lacking the maturity, lacking the.
You don't say.
Yeah. No, just lacking what personality. Lacking insecurity, certain, well, vice versa, but some of these things I was looking at how we respond to certain things, for example. You know what I'm saying? And how we take it like we're a child and we're, why are you asking me or why are you saying that to me?
Right.
So I wanted to get some of y'all views on it, just what do y'all see within particular society or whatever your environment may be, I don't know.
Well, everybody has been trained well to feel that they're entitled to everything. Everyone gets a trophy. Mm-hmm. Everyone's tied for first place. Mm-hmm. It's like that everyone's entitled to stuff. We're told to go to college. You're entitled to the job afterwards. Mm-hmm. There's not even going to be a job afterwards anymore. College tuition is going up, and the degree is worthless and more worthless and more worthless. Mm-hmm. It's like so, and then people are mad about this. See, it's someone else's fault all the time because we're entitled for this. So that's a big part of it right there, and you're just offended if you have any kind of criticism towards anyone, even if it's constructive.
Yeah, for sure.
It's everyone's offended by everything. It can possibly be negative or taken negative.
Yeah, interesting. A lot of sensitivity going on. I think it goes a lot to a lot of times. I think what we mix up, and sometimes even in this situation, we talk about the symptoms.
For sure.
Let's look at what's really going on, especially here in the United States, right? So we have fluoridated water. Which, and what is that? About 70% of the
water system.
The public water system.
Systems. Yeah.
We have genetically modified foods, regardless of whether they're actually genetically modified by corporations like Monsanto on a genetic level, or whether they're manipulated to grow at a faster pace. Therefore, not allowing the time for it to actually have the minerals. And the substances that's needed, the vitamins and minerals that's needed within it. So then you're having empty foods. Right?
Yes.
All of this combined with the nature of the brain. What's the nature of the brain? It's like a mother, right? Like a nourisher, like a nurturer. It delegates out what it needs first, or what's going to give out to the body first, and then takes what it's going to take last. So if we're eating foods that have less nutrients, less vitamins, that we have tainted water with not just fluoride but other chemicals and all these things that we're putting in our bodies, how do we expect our minds to develop?
If we know.
How can we?
Yeah, if we know. I was watching a movie, interesting enough, The Ward, and it was The Ward by John Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
And it was an interesting concept, but at the same time, she was going to she was in a psychic home or a psychedelic. Or crazy house, in other words. Right. So it was interesting how the dynamics of how these people were studying them and making them see these things and act like they was dealing with it, but the metaphor was like these was all her personalities expressed throughout it. And it's interesting how we are, I guess it's egotistical, I would say. How dare you question me? How dare you question my value? You know, one thing too I'd like to say is this brother Nas been actually being able to be a coach, like kind of help me, guide me to certain things. And that's what I was thinking about, having somebody there who can actually check you a little bit. You feel what I'm saying? Check you where you at. You know, what kind of, you know, how are you navigating? How are you going about? How are you connecting?
And what you're talking about is mentorship.
Yes.
Is that what we all have to understand is that, you know, we're all going through our journey, right? But we're going through our journey through darkness, which means we don't know what's going to happen 5 seconds from now.
For sure.
We have no idea. And sometimes we get so overwhelmed with different factors that are going on in our life, you know, we're trying to reach these goals that we don't necessarily even know how to attain. You know, so sometimes it's good to have that coach or that mentor. I mean, if you think about it, you know, all the best, if you compare life to to sports, for example, even in single individual sports, tennis, they have coaches. And it's not that the coach makes the player, it's the player has the skills, but the coach actually helps hone it. The coach doesn't give you anything that you don't already have.
For sure.
Doesn't give you any more desire than what you have. It just helps you refine it, you know, a different perspective. You know?
Great point.
Sometimes it's hard to push yourself beyond that line.
Indeed.
You need somebody there to help you know, get across it.
Indeed.
So we're talking like a mentorship, which is important, I think, especially with the complexities of finance, you know, the way the dollar actually works with the Federal Reserve, with it being printed money, and us not really knowing or being taught about credit, finance, and these things.
No,
And we just go
that's
right into what you're saying,
secondary,
with lack of maturity.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're bombarded with so much, we give up.
Real quick.
It was I can't remember his name, it was a doctor, he was a psychiatrist, and he says that we conditions ourselves from childhood, from infancy, to, how did he put it, to become masterful at disappointment as opposed to success.
Yeah.
And what he did is he was talking about a study that they had done back when Freud was taking a part of it, and they were talking about babies, and a baby would have a toy, and the baby would be happy and laughing with the toy, and then throw the toy out of the crib, and then start crying. The mother would come give the baby the toy, and the baby would be happy. The mother turn around, and the baby throw it out and start crying. So the question was, why do we throw things away that make us happy and then cry about them later? And you know, we do that as an adult, though.
Interesting.
You know, in certain capacities,
sure,
we don't pay attention to certain areas. You know, that bill that's due, right? We ignore it. You know, instead of taking it upon ourselves, you know, and using our intellect and our resources and preparing for that opportunity, you know, that it may be, and we have to look at it like that, as an opportunity, as opposed to, man, I got this bill due, you know.
And it connects me, it reminds me of even that movie, that Inside Out movie, that Disney movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How deep the connections, like he was just saying, just illustrating that those particular personalities are there, you know, and this is what we're dealing with, and this is how we're navigating, or however you want to look at it, our search or whatever it may be, because it's kind of weird too when you see even your parent in that situation. Don't tell me what to do, I know I can do this, and boom, 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 and you be like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just giving you some advice to think about something over here, or, you know.
What's interesting, you actually hit on the area that's key, is that as the current generation, a lot of the parents are trying to befriend their children. But the older generation, they want their children to be children their entire lives and don't know how to accept them as adults. So can't accept the advice that you give, and that's that lack of maturity that you say.
Powdered butt syndrome.
Yeah.
Never gonna. They can't take advice from you. Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I guess it's funny because psychologically, you think about it, how powerful that is. because you're the only one thinking about that. Not everybody else is thinking like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Especially as a parent, you would think they would comprehend that. Like, oh, my son is trying, want to do the best, or my daughter want to do the best for me, or whatever the case may be. Why wouldn't we want that? You know, I want you to be successful. I wouldn't want you to keep dealing with the... Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what I'm saying about what people do, and I think that's what I'm talking about too, the lack of maturity, how we don't recognize it. We don't pay it attention.
You can also attribute prohibition to lack of maturity too. I mean, think about it. If in cannabis, the cannabinoids that connect with our neurons in our brain, our paths. If it is true that in that capacity, that we create neural paths by experimenting with cannabis, as well as new thoughts and new ways of thinking, new perspectives. Look at what we've gone through for the last, almost 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Prohibition.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
the mindset behind it, And so we still continue to this day with that immaturity that the older and a lot of older adults cannot accept it.
Yeah.
And then we have politicians that, out of Ohio, that try and sneak things behind it. Trying to hope that the American people are dumb enough, or of Ohio at least, to accept this. Accept this nonsense.
Yeah.
So that lack of maturity, man, you're absolutely right. And they take advantage of it.
Oh, beautiful.
For sure.
The propaganda that goes on in this country. And it's so beautiful, because I'm looking at like I'm always talking about, and this is actually probably going to be a future show. We're going to be talking about different movies or cartoons and different things, all the psychological things that's going on in these movies, especially like the box trolls. When you're looking at what they're talking about, they talking about the Rothschilds. They bringing out so many, my cheese, don't move my cheese, this is my cheese. You feel what I'm saying? So it was like, it was so deep, all these metaphors, and they're so smooth how they just introduce it to the people. Just here, you can take this, you can have this too, that, this and that, a third, and here you can have more. You know what I'm saying? And then we so
You're
caught up.
getting you conditioned for all that stuff.
And it's like we so caught up, and we really believe all these myths. People have been saying this stuff, and it's just a myth. It's something somebody made up. Don't take me wrong, not everything, but a lot of the things we talk about. Like I always thought about this phrase, jack of all trades, right? You always heard that. And then a teacher over at Highline said, jack of all trades, master of none. And I was like, wow, that's a cold line. You know what I'm saying? Because it made you think about the bigger picture. You feel what I'm saying? The bigger picture. Yeah, you jack of all trades, but master of none. So how you even gonna establish anything? You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of crazy when you're looking at it on that, I guess, in that perspective.
Well, there's a flip side to that coin too. You can become so much of an expert in one thing that you disconnect from the entirety of the universe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. How long has it taken scientists to actually accept that the body does have an aura, does have a magnetic field?
Yeah, for sure.
And how that works. That there is neuroplasticity, that as adults our brains can grow.
For sure.
So they're experts in their fields, but sometimes you become such an expert that you know very little. You know a whole lot about very little.
Well, they got blinders on, and they can only see what's directly in front of them.
And that's the way the society is built. It's very compartmentalized. So sometimes when you say that jack of all trades, you're right, except do you actually, are we not looking close enough to see that person does have something? Because if you think about it, Jean-Luc Picard was a jack of all trades. He was good at a lot of things. He could run the navigation, he could run the science department, he could run the weapons, whatever. But the point is that he was supposed to be the leader that had experts in place for those specific
For
things.
sure. Delegation.
So sometimes we do have to become knowledgeable at other things in order to see that big picture.
Yeah, for sure. And that's even with the business. keep it real here. Let's talk business a little bit. I mean, even with that pinpointing, how you gotta make sure everything is running smoothly, you know. So therefore, putting a system together where the oil and everything is lube and everything is working right and it's hooking up and everybody's on point and we all motivating each other. Look, brother, I got you on this. Hey, can we flip this? Boom, boom, boom. You know, and when that start going, you know, especially right here, I consider things is happening. You know, doors are opening. You know, so I just, you know, that's what getting, you know. Some of these, like I say, some of these particular issues are like right in the heart up in here. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of get a little deep because I want to dig a little deeper. I don't want to be coming off, like I say, the Snoop Dogs and the Be Reals, not knocking their game. Obviously, they got a whole bunch of followers and whatnot. But my point is, we like to get a little deep here. I want to get people thinking. I want to get the discussion base. I want you to hit us up on the phone or hit us up on the email, hit us up on Twitter, whatever you want to do. But I want to hear it. I want to feel it. I want to know what's going on. You know, and that's what we want to give here. And that's what I'm saying. The lack of maturity. People are not, we can put up some BS. I can put up some entertainment stuff. You blast that, hot keys, hot, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, go fire, go crazy. But then when we start talking about some issues that's really hitting home, that's where I think it start getting, you know.
Well, and what you're saying is that, in essence, if you look at it, look, this is supposed to be the fabrication of a free society, right? Mm-hmm. So a free society requires what? It requires a responsible people and it requires an intelligent people, right?
Good point.
So intelligence and responsibility requires understanding. If we don't have understanding of ourselves, we can't have understanding of anything around us. And what I mean by ourselves is to understand where our power comes from. We think that our consciousness is our power. And I tell you, your consciousness is our weakness. Think about this. Go consciously try and do something that you've never done before. You've never played tennis before, go try and hit an ace.
Yeah.
The way you become masterful at anything and everything is you practice it enough that it gets embedded into your subconscious. That's where your power is. Our will is in our consciousness. Our power is in our subconscious, and we don't understand that yet. So therefore, we lack the maturity spiritually, mentally, and now physically, and we're paying the price because we're losing this war that we're coming up against.
Yeah, for sure, and it's a mental war. It's
a war that's all around us, bro.
Yeah, it's
from
24
the stop sign,
yeah.
from the octagon-shaped stop sign. People don't realize that is a subliminal message to tell you to stop promoting yourself for ascension, to stop nurturing yourself for ascension. Stay where you are. Homeostasis is best for you.
Yeah.
We lack that understanding. We lack that maturity.
Remind me of that movie you introduced me to, The Legend of Doom. And that storyline, I was like, yes. And it just showed how they was breaking their confidence down. You know what I'm saying? Basically, overall, it was like their confidence. Oh, we just got in on you. You know, and that's the key. Like I say, the lack of maturity. Understand or recognize your own, that you can come to a point where, okay, I lost this one. I got to take a hit for the, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. I mean, especially when somebody real close to you tell you some stuff, and you want to cry and ooh wee boo boo boo. Nah, this is what's coming on. But most of the time, it's good. It's more good for us. I think it's a healthy for us. Yeah. I think it's a healthy.
See, and that's another thing. Failures are the best thing. Is the best thing for us. No successful person has not been a failure. Has not failed. You can't tell me how many times is Jordan. You know, we argue him as one of the best basketball players of all time. You know, we may not like him as an individual, but you know, as a ball player, you know, he failed how many times? He failed more than he succeeded. You know. Edison, we know the story about the light bulb. You know, we even know that the story between Tesla and Edison and how how things came about. Failure is a part of life. We have to accept it as a lesson. We have to see it. We have to flip the view of it. It's about perception. You're going to fail. Don't be afraid of it. If you're afraid to fail, you're gonna live a You know, like, what do you think? I mean, you agree?
I agree with that.
How can you?
How are you gonna judge what a success is if you haven't been through
Exactly,
failure?
exactly.
What's a success without a failure?
Right.
Yeah.
This will go into our next show too, but in the job interview process, and I'll go into it because we went through the hustle of the interview process of this new place. But one of the things is, what are you looking for in your manager? Like how do you, or whatever. And me, there's a lot to it, but one of them is I want that constructive criticism. I want to know if there's a better way to do something, if I'm doing something wrong, whatever, because I'm trying to be the best.
That's the idea.
At every, it's just what, if I'm going to be the best at what I'm going to do, then there's no one that's the best. There's always someone better than you.
For sure.
So you have to strive to be better. And how are you going to do that?
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. Somebody might beat you this day, you get them. It's an ongoing. You're right.
It's interesting how we was talking about the violence and the value. Remember, as we was talking about that movie Lucy, we had kind of some disagreements on that, or just opinions on that movie particularly. But we was breaking down the words, violence. Okay, it's part of nature, right? It happens. And then I was just saying about volume. So we kind of talked about this too, little wordplay. How they've been wordplaying us so much. Well, we're just caught up in the wordplay.
Well, they've changed definitions of words, so that doesn't help.
For sure.
That's a whole other ball game right there.
Yes.
We're speaking a different language they are, because they've literally changed the meaning of words. Like, how can you have a dictionary and you have to make addendums every year, new definitions and removing? No, it's a word. It's meant what it meant when it first was said.
Absolutely. That's the biggest trick that they use, especially with government and courts.
Oh man, that
the legal stuff.
What did he say? He said arbitration and the arbitrator. What?
Well, the genius is
the language.
We're speaking Spanish, they're speaking English, or whatever is basically how it is. You do one wrong word in there and it's done. It's a done deal, and they know that.
They got it.
Why do you think they play the game that way?
Yeah, they got it down.
That's Wonderland. That is definitely Wonderland. You have a person that's a myth that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Well, you're a person, but I can't touch you, see you. Oh, I can read you. Okay, there you go.
I can read you. I see you now. Yes, it's a cold game. Even how, and we talked about this through the past, even with My Sovereign World, few episodes. And we talked about some of these techniques of sovereignty and autonomy and some of those issues, and we talked about Wizard of Oz and some of these movies, how deep they really get into certain things, but we don't really pay no attention. Oh, that's a good movie. Like I always say,
entertainment.
Yeah. Wanna build a snowman? That movie right there. I'm thinking to myself, this is some deep psychological, because you got your baby singing this song, not even knowing what the real true meaning of it is about.
Well, that's, how many nursery rhymes?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Arguably all of them.
Exactly. So,
they all have some underlying reason for them.
It's funny that now I've started, searching new movies and not just looking at the movies, but looking at the directors and the writers and seeing what stories they have behind. Because in many cases, they're trying to tell you something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're giving us that. And we're coming down to the 1 minute mark. I just want to say thank you, brothers, for coming through. Definitely politicking. It's all good. Straight up.
I'll be staying if you don't mind.
Oh man. So we just want to. Any last words? We got about 49 seconds. Any last words?
I appreciate you guys having me.
Okay.
Anytime, like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
I see it on your notes.
Yes,
so I thought I'd say
sir.
it.
No, that's
Facebook. Tell your friends. Get involved with us.
For sure.
This is good. Bringing more people to have this conversation. We want you guys to be a part of it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Have more conversations.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk. Words don't hurt.
can't be wrong. But you can't. But
It's okay to be wrong.
it's okay to It's okay to be wrong.
Okay. So we down, yeah. Hotel.
Konsidergroup.com.